My friends, have you ever paused to ponder the invisible force that separates those who merely dream from those who do? It's a question that has echoed through the corridors of time, answered by the titans of industry and the masters of self-mastery. The answer, in its profound simplicity, lies not in some distant, unattainable magic, but in a principle so fundamental, so universally applicable, that it will transform your very existence. The secret to becoming a high achiever is to embody your future self today. Your magnificent brain, a miraculous instrument of creation, cannot discern the subtle yet critical difference between an actual, tangible accomplishment and the consistent, vivid rehearsal of that accomplishment. By acting as if you have already become the person you aspire to be, you are in essence programming your subconscious mind to create the matching opportunities and circumstances that will propel you towards that reality. How, you ask, does this mystical process unfold? It begins, my dear friends, with the smallest, most seemingly insignificant daily habits that precisely mirror the actions and demeanor of your ideal self. So let us begin right now by identifying just one behavior, one tiny, powerful action that you can implement into your life today. For remember this fundamental truth. You are not forged by what you occasionally wish for, but by what you consistently do. In the moments that follow, we shall unlock the very mechanisms of this transformation, revealing precisely how to step into the shoes of the person you are destined to become. Now let us delve into the profound power of self-image. Have you ever truly observed individuals who radiate success? They move with an undeniable purpose. They articulate their thoughts with unwavering conviction. And they emit an almost magnetic energy, an aura that naturally draws others into their orbit. This, my friends, is no mere accident of birth, no fortunate roll of the dice. It is the living, breathing manifestation of a powerful self-image, meticulously cultivated and nurtured from within. Consider this immutable law of the universe. You, my friend, will never ascend beyond the vision you hold of yourself within the sanctuary of your own mind. The very boundaries of your achievements, the limits of your potential, are irrevocably set by the person you believe yourself to be. So when you stand before the mirror gazing into the reflection, who do you truly see staring back at you? Is it an individual destined for unparalleled greatness, or one constrained by the invisible chains of doubt and paralyzing fear? Your answer to this singular question holds more sway, possesses more predictive power than any external factor in charting your ultimate destiny. This powerful internal metamorphosis is sparked by one essential first, the precise identification of the person you wish to become. And I speak not merely of accomplishments, though those are vital. I speak of character, of demeanor, of the very spirit that animates your being. Visualize this ideal version of yourself with a clarity so crystalline, so vivid, that it almost feels tangible. How does this person carry themselves? How do they speak? How do they respond when confronted by the inevitable challenges and setbacks that life will present? What are the unshakable values that serve as the compass guiding their every decision? Once this magnificent vision is forged in the crucible of your mind, you must then begin to live as though you have already become this person. Understand this deeply. This is not an act of deception. This is a strategic alignment, a masterful orchestration of your present actions to converge with your most desired future outcomes. Begin right now to practice the mannerisms, to make the choices, to adopt the very mindset of your ideal self. When confronted with a crossroad, a decision, a moment of uncertainty, pause and ask yourself this profound question. What would the person I desire to become do in this situation? Then, and this is where true courage is born, summon the inner fortitude to act accordingly, even if at first it feels entirely unnatural, even if it feels like stretching a new muscle. Consider the illuminating case of Edmund Graves. Here was a man toiling as a mid-level banker, yet harboring within him the audacious ambition to revolutionize the entire financial industry. He lacked the inherited connections, the vast resources that seemed to propel others forward. Yet Graves was a keen observer. He noticed that the banking executives he so profoundly admired shared certain distinct qualities. They dressed with an impeccable precision. They spoke with a measured, deliberate conviction. And they carried themselves with a quiet, unshakable confidence. Rather than passively awaiting a promotion to magically bestow these traits upon him, Graves, with audacious intentionality, began to embody them immediately. He invested, despite his modest salary, in quality suits. He diligently practiced articulate speech patterns. He cultivated the dignified demeanor of one who already commanded the industry. What was the result of this courageous, consistent self-alignment? Within a mere 3 years, Graves ascended to the position of regional director. His colleagues, in retrospect, would remark that they had always perceived him as possessing executive material, long before his title ever reflected that inherent status. So I ask you, my friend, are you in this very moment projecting the authentic image of the person you aspire to become? Do your daily actions, the sum total of your conscious and unconscious choices, align with the magnificent future you envision? Or do you fall victim to that insidious self-deception, telling yourself that someday, after success has magically arrived, then and only then will you begin to act the part? The painful, unvarnished truth, a truth that far too many never grasp, is this: success, my friends, flows like a mighty river towards those who embody it, who live it, who breathe it, long before external circumstances ever reflect its presence. But perhaps a voice within you whispers, isn't this just pretending? Shouldn't I be authentic? Ah, my friend, here lies the crucial transformative distinction. You are not fabricating qualities you do not possess. You are instead cultivating attributes that already lie dormant within you, waiting like powerful seeds for the nourishment of deliberate action and persistent focus to bring them forth into the light. When you consistently, unwaveringly act in alignment with your ideal self-image, something truly remarkable begins to unfold. The chasm between who you are today and who you wish to become gradually, imperceptibly, begins to narrow, until finally it vanishes entirely. Your subconscious mind, that magnificent engine of creation unable to differentiate between a deeply, passionately imagined experience and tangible reality, begins to reshape your automatic behaviors, molding them to perfectly match your conscious performances. So I ask you now, what specific aspect of your self-image demands immediate elevation? Which quality of your desired future self could you courageously begin embodying today, even before the external world validates your choice? Now let us turn our attention to the silent yet astonishing power contained within a single day. Your daily habits form your future self. 24 hours. It might seem like an insignificant speck when measured against the grand tapestry of a lifetime. Yet within each fleeting day lies the very foundation of your destiny. The person you will become a year from now, 5 years from now, a decade from now, is not determined by momentous, earth-shattering decisions or rare serendipitous opportunities. No, my friends, it is meticulously shaped by the seemingly minor, repetitive actions you perform day in and day out. These consistent patterns, these unwavering habits are silently yet profoundly determining your trajectory, propelling you either towards unparalleled greatness or towards the quiet despair of mediocrity. Each time you perform an action, you are, in essence, etching deeper neural pathways within the intricate labyrinth of your brain. This process, with unwavering neutrality, makes that behavior increasingly automatic, increasingly effortless. And here is the profound implication. This process will just as readily cement excellence into your being as it will solidify mediocrity. The choice, my friends, rests solely on what you choose to practice. You transform yourself not through sporadic bursts of fleeting motivation or temporary, half-hearted commitments. No, you transform yourself through the steady, unwavering accumulation of small, deliberate choices, made consistently over the relentless march of time. Success, in its purest form, is not the product of sporadic, heroic efforts, but of mundane, even unremarkable actions performed with extraordinary consistency. Begin by meticulously identifying the specific habits that unequivocally characterize the person you aspire to become. Does this person greet the dawn with purpose, rising early? Do they maintain physical discipline? Do they devour knowledge, reading voraciously? Do they express gratitude daily? Do they forge meaningful connections with others? Whatever these patterns may be, my friends, implement them immediately into the fabric of your daily routine. Not because they will bring instant magical results, but because they will gradually, yet inexorably, reshape your very identity, aligning it perfectly with your highest aspirations. She found herself consistently trailing her competitors by mere seconds. Instead of resorting to dramatic wholesale changes in her technique, she made one incredibly modest yet profoundly impactful adjustment to her habits. She began arriving 30 minutes before each scheduled practice. This seemingly insignificant additional time allowed her to engage in specialized breathing exercises and crucial mental rehearsal. While her teammates remained oblivious to the remarkable nature of this routine, Thuy maintained this discipline for 11 months without a single exception. By the time the Olympic trials arrived, these accumulated minutes, these small, consistent actions had so profoundly transformed her performance that she ascended from a mere team alternate to a formidable gold medal contender. Are you, my friend, currently waiting for the elusive spark of motivation to magically strike before you establish the habits of your ideal self? Or have you, in your wisdom, recognized that action, consistent, unwavering action, precedes motivation, not the other way around? When, I ask you, will you make the profound decision that today's choices, today's actions matter more than yesterday's limitations or tomorrow's vague aspirations? Just as water with relentless, quiet persistence gradually reshapes the hardest stone, not through overwhelming force, but through unwavering consistency, so too will your habits, even those that seem utterly insignificant in isolation, ultimately define your very essence. The true challenge, my friends, lies in maintaining these patterns, these seemingly small disciplines, long enough to witness their magnificent, transformative effect. Far too many, alas, abandon promising habits just before reaching this crucial threshold, never experiencing the true compound interest of consistent action. So start small. Start with habits so trivial, so seemingly inconsequential, that they feel almost absurd. Read 5 pages each morning, walk 10 minutes daily. These modest beginnings may appear utterly inconsequential, but their power, my friends, lies not in their intensity, but in their unwavering consistency. As these patterns become deeply embedded within your identity, as they become as natural as breathing, gradually increase their scope until they become the full, magnificent expression of your desired self. Remember, excellence is not forged through occasional, heroic, unsustainable efforts. It is built brick by unremarkable brick through mundane actions performed with extraordinary consistency. The distance between your current self and your aspirational identity will be traversed, not in grand leaps, but through thousands of seemingly insignificant choices made diligently every single day. So I challenge you. What single habit, if implemented tomorrow morning, would most directly connect you with the person you are so determined to become? Which daily action, if performed with unwavering consistency for a full year, would make the greatest, most profound difference in your trajectory? Now let us speak of something that separates the dreamers from the doers, the comfortable from the courageous, the courage to step outside your comfort zone. Every single meaningful achievement in the vast tapestry of human history has demanded that someone somewhere venture beyond the familiar, beyond the boundaries of what felt comfortable. That promotion you so deeply desire, that business you passionately dream of launching, that profound relationship you wish to build, all of them, my friends, exist just beyond the visible edges of your current comfort zone. They are waiting patiently for you to summon the courage to step across that invisible yet formidable threshold. Understand this fundamental, immutable truth: growth and comfort simply cannot coexist. This profound principle illuminates why so many individuals remain tragically ensnared in the chains of mediocrity, despite possessing within them an extraordinary, untapped potential. They mistakenly interpret temporary comfort for genuine fulfillment. They fail to grasp that the very discomfort they so assiduously avoid is precisely the crucible that would transform them into the magnificent person they aspire to become. You accelerate your personal transformation, my friends, by deliberately seeking out situations that stretch your capabilities, that challenge your deepest assumptions. Each time you courageously embrace discomfort for the noble sake of growth, you expand your capacity to navigate uncertainty, to overcome difficulty. This expansion, my friends, does not merely change what you can do. It fundamentally alters who you are becoming. Begin right now by identifying the specific discomforts that are in this very moment holding you back from your desired identity. Is it the trepidation of public speaking, the awkwardness of initiating difficult conversations, the perceived risk of making significant financial investments, the challenge of learning complex technical skills? Whatever these growth opportunities may be, approach them with deliberate intention and unwavering consistency. Recognize deeply that temporary discomfort is the non-negotiable price of permanent, profound transformation. He found himself inexplicably stalled, unable to advance beyond regional climbing competitions despite years of rigorous physical training. After a period of honest, unflinching self-assessment, he recognized that his limitation was not physical strength, but psychological. He consistently avoided certain technically challenging routes that carried the added burden of a greater risk of public failure. Instead of clinging to his comfortable training regimen, Pennington, with courageous resolve, deliberately restructured his entire approach. He attempted only routes that induced profound anxiety and gnawing uncertainty. For 6 arduous months he endured constant failure, the humiliation of public struggles, and the intense psychological strain of performing far beneath his previous comfortable standards. This deliberate self-imposed discomfort, my friends, eventually expanded his capabilities far beyond what any incremental improvements could have achieved. Ultimately, it earned him well-deserved recognition among the elite climbers of his generation. So, I ask you, are you currently orchestrating your life to maximize comfort or to maximize growth? When was the last time you, with conscious intention, placed yourself in a situation where failure was not merely possible, but probable? How much untapped potential, how much dormant greatness still resides within you, waiting patiently for the potent catalyst of necessary discomfort? Herein lies the profound paradox of personal development. We must paradoxically become comfortable with discomfort itself. The raw sensation of uncertainty, of vulnerability, of temporary incompetence, these are the very feelings that most people spend their entire lives desperately avoiding. Yet, my friends, these are precisely the reliable indicators that you are moving inexorably in the right direction. These feelings are not reasons to retreat, they are potent signals of the magnificent expansion of your capabilities. So begin with small discomforts, speak up in meetings, approach new professional connections, learn foundational skills in areas that currently intimidate you. As your tolerance expands, gradually widen the scope of the challenges you are willing to embrace. Soon, situations that once seemed utterly terrifying will become merely challenging, and challenges that once appeared insurmountable will become routine, a mere stepping stone on your path to greatness. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the profound decision that something else, your growth, your noble purpose, your potential contribution, matters infinitely more than your temporary emotional comfort. The greatest regrets in life, my friends, rarely stem from the risks we courageously took, but from the glorious growth opportunities we tragically avoided, paralyzed by the fear of discomfort or the specter of failure. So I challenge you now, what specific discomfort have you been diligently avoiding? A discomfort that, if courageously embraced, would most directly transform you into the person you aspire to become. And what is the smallest, most manageable step you could take tomorrow to begin facing this necessary transformative challenge? Now let us consider an undeniable truth, a principle as old as time itself. No individual achieves extraordinary success in isolation. This fundamental principle has been demonstrated countless times throughout the grand theater of human history. Yet astonishingly, many still attempt to reach their highest potential through solitary effort, like a lone boat against a surging tide. The truth remains profoundly evident. Your environment, and most critically the people with whom you consistently interact, profoundly shapes your thinking, subtly influences your decisions, and ultimately irrevocably determines your trajectory. This principle of environmental influence operates with unwavering consistency whether you consciously direct it or not. Your mind, with its remarkable adaptability, gradually adopts the predominant attitudes, the prevailing perspectives, and the ambitious aspirations of those with whom you spend the most time. This process occurs with a subtle, almost imperceptible grace, often beyond the realm of your conscious awareness. Yet its impact on your personal development is profound, undeniable, and utterly inescapable. You accelerate your transformation, my friends, by deliberately cultivating relationships with individuals who already embody the very qualities you wish to develop within yourself. This strategic approach to relationship building is not manipulative, it is rather a profound acknowledgement that humans, by their very nature, naturally grow towards the standards present in their immediate environment. By consciously elevating this environment, you provide yourself with the optimal conditions for becoming your ideal self. So begin right now by evaluating your current social and professional circles with unflinching, brutal honesty. Are you surrounded by individuals who courageously challenge you to expand your thinking, to elevate your standards, to pursue meaningful growth? Or do your closest associations, perhaps subtly, perhaps overtly, reinforce limitations, encourage complacency, and normalize mediocrity? Once you have conducted this honest assessment, take deliberate, courageous steps to increase your exposure to excellence while compassionately yet firmly creating distance from influences that limit your potential. Does your current environment truly reflect where you are or where you are determined to go? Have you indeed become the average of the 5 people with whom you spend the most time? What deliberate adjustments, however uncomfortable to your associations, would most dramatically accelerate your development? And now let us speak of the mastermind principle, a concept of exponential power. The incredible force created when minds unite in harmony, when they converge towards shared objectives, represents one of the most potent applications of environmental influence. By actively creating or purposefully joining such alliances, you gain access not only to expanded knowledge and invaluable resources, but to an invisible current of mutual inspiration and reciprocal accountability that naturally, almost miraculously, accelerates each member's progress. Begin creating this elevated environment by actively seeking out mentors who already embody your aspirational identity. Join communities meticulously organized around excellence in your chosen field, and crucially, initiate regular interactions with peers who share your unwavering commitment to growth, while simultaneously bringing complementary perspectives to the table. Remember this profound truth: a meaningful connection with just one person operating at an extraordinary level will impact your development more profoundly than casual association with dozens of individuals who have settled into the comfortable confines of mediocrity. So I ask you now, what single relationship, if courageously established or profoundly deepened, would most dramatically accelerate your transformation into the person you aspire to become? And which current association, if judiciously limited, would remove the greatest obstacle to your continued magnificent growth? Now let us confront a universal truth, often uncomfortable yet utterly essential for greatness: persistence through adversity. Every single meaningful achievement in the annals of human history has encountered significant, often crushing resistance.
This universal pattern unveils an uncomfortable truth. Adversity is not merely an occasional obstacle on your path to becoming your ideal self. It is, my friends, an essential, non-negotiable component of the transformation process itself. The capacity to maintain your unwavering course, to steadfastly hold to your vision when confronted with difficulty, often determines your ultimate destiny more decisively than talent, more than opportunity, more than any initial advantage. This unwavering resilience in the face of inevitable challenges represents the crucial defining difference between those who merely desire transformation and those who actually truly experience it. Temporary motivation, a fleeting spark of enthusiasm, and fair-weather commitment may initiate change, but only persistent, unwavering action sustained through the very fires of difficulty will complete the arduous yet rewarding journey from aspiration to the full embodiment of your ideal self. You develop this transformative persistence not by assiduously avoiding challenges, but by profoundly reframing your relationship with adversity itself. Rather than viewing obstacles as unwelcome interruptions to your progress, recognize them deeply as strengthening mechanisms. See them as necessary resistance, the very force that builds the unshakable character and expands the profound capacity required to sustain success once it is achieved. Like muscle tissue that grows stronger and more resilient through the deliberate stress of resistance training, your capabilities, your very being expand most significantly when pushing against meaningful opposition. Begin cultivating this profound persistence by establishing clear, compelling reasons for becoming your ideal self, reasons that transcend momentary comfort or fleeting convenience. When your motivation connects to values, to purposes larger than your individual self, it becomes immeasurably easier to maintain momentum through periods of gnawing difficulty and self-doubt. Additionally, develop specific, actionable strategies for managing the predictable challenges that will inevitably arise. Energy fluctuations, unwarranted criticism from others, temporary failures, frustrating plateaus in progress. Prepare for these common obstacles so they do not for a single moment derail your consistent, unwavering action.
Consider the awe-inspiring story of Brazilian footballer Renato Carvalho. He suffered a devastating injury, one that doctors unanimously, unequivocally declared career-ending. Rather than passively accepting this grim assessment, Carvalho, with indomitable spirit, developed an unprecedented rehabilitation regimen. He worked through excruciating pain for 18 months. A period during which his teammates and even his former coaches progressively abandoned all hope for his return. During this period of profound isolation, Carvalho transformed not only his physical capabilities, but his fundamental approach to the very sport itself. Upon his eventual return, which medical experts had deemed utterly impossible, his enhanced technical precision and profound strategic understanding elevated him from a merely talented player to a transformative presence in the sport. Ultimately, it earned him well-deserved recognition among the era's elite athletes. So I ask you, when was the last time difficulty, true adversity, strengthened rather than diminished your unwavering commitment? How quickly, in this moment, do you abandon worthy pursuits when progress becomes challenging, when the path becomes steep? What specific adversity are you currently facing? An adversity that, if properly leveraged, could become the potent catalyst for your most significant growth. Remember, persistence is not merely continuing along the same path regardless of results. It is maintaining an unwavering commitment to your ultimate objective, while flexibly adapting your methods based on the invaluable feedback you receive. This nuanced approach masterfully balances unwavering dedication to your aspirational identity with a courageous willingness to adjust specific tactics as circumstances demand. Develop practical resilience by meticulously creating support systems that will sustain your momentum during the inevitable challenges. These might include accountability partnerships, regular review of your most compelling motivations, strategic breaks that prevent burnout without sacrificing precious momentum, and a deliberate study of others who have overcome similar obstacles on their own transformative journeys. What current challenge, if courageously overcome through persistent effort rather than passively avoided, would most dramatically accelerate your development into the person you aspire to become? What specific system could you implement right now to maintain consistent action toward your aspiration, regardless of temporary emotional states or external circumstances, thereby defining your future self with unwavering precision? Have you ever noticed that truly exceptional individuals possess an unusually clear, almost luminous picture of precisely who they are and, more importantly, where they are headed? This clarity, my friends, is no mere coincidence. It is the essential foundation upon which all meaningful achievement is meticulously built. Without a precise, unshakable vision of your ultimate destination, even the most determined, most vigorous effort often leads nowhere in particular, like a ship adrift without a rudder. Many, alas, drift through life, passively responding to whatever circumstances happen to present themselves, never truly taking full command of their own direction. They harbor vague, amorphous notions about success or happiness, yet they fail to define these concepts in actionable, measurable terms. This ambiguity, this lack of clear definition, inevitably produces mediocre results regardless of the effort invested or the talents possessed. You create transformative clarity by engaging in deliberate, detailed visioning of your ideal future self. This powerful process requires moving beyond generic, comfortable aspirations towards precise, specific definition. Rather than merely wanting success defined with absolute precision, what success truly means for you in every domain of your life, in your relationships, in your contribution to the world, in financial terms, in your skill development, and in your personal fulfillment. Document these specifications with rigorous detail, creating a blueprint so meticulously precise that someone else could understand exactly who you are becoming. Begin this clarity-building process by isolating yourself from all distractions for several hours with the singular, unwavering purpose of defining your aspirational identity. Ask yourself penetrating questions, questions that cut through the fog of uncertainty. What specific capabilities would your ideal self possess? What daily activities would meticulously fill their schedule? What profound impact would they make on others? What unshakable standards would they consistently maintain? What environments, what associations would they naturally occupy? Record these specifications in vivid, compelling detail. Then refine them through regular, consistent review and profound reflection until your vision achieves a crystalline, unshakable clarity. Consider the insightful journey of Italian civic architect Marco Visconti in the 1950s. He found himself producing competent, yet ultimately unremarkable designs, securing sufficient commissions, but never truly breaking through to projects that ignited his creative passion. During a period of profound frustration, Visconti wisely retreated to his family's countryside home for 3 weeks, where he meticulously documented his ideal professional future. He sketched the specific types of magnificent structures he wished to design, the collaborative relationships he yearned to build, the technical innovations he hoped to pioneer, and even the prestigious publications in which he aspired to be featured. Upon returning to his practice, Visconti, with unwavering resolve, declined projects inconsistent with this newly defined vision, despite their attractive financial appeal. Instead, he courageously created speculative designs that perfectly aligned with his ideal future. Within a mere 14 months, this clarity-driven approach attracted precisely the opportunities he had envisioned, establishing him among the most distinctive and revered architects of his generation. So I ask you, have you defined your aspirational identity with sufficient precision to instantly recognize opportunities that align with it? Could a complete stranger, upon reviewing your definition, understand exactly who you are becoming? Are your daily decisions guided by a crystal clear, luminous vision or by vague, nebulous aspirations? Remember, my friends, clarity precedes mastery in every meaningful human endeavor. Without precise definition, your mind lacks the necessary blueprint to construct your ideal future, to manifest your deepest desires. This definition must extend beyond external achievements to encompass the internal qualities, the profound values, and the unshakable standards that will characterize your ideal self. Do not merely think about your ideal future. Visualize specific scenes. Paint them vividly in your mind's eye. Articulate the exact words your future self would speak.
Imagine the environments they would naturally occupy, and even select music that embodies the very essence of this magnificent aspiration. This multidimensional approach creates robust neural pathways that make your vision increasingly accessible and profoundly compelling to your subconscious mind. What specific aspect of your aspirational identity currently lacks sufficient definition? Which area of your life would most profoundly benefit from increased clarity regarding your ideal future self? Now let us speak of the bridge between knowing and doing, the chasm that separates intention from manifestation. Decisive action, moving beyond planning to implementation. Have you observed that society in its peculiar wisdom often celebrates contemplation, the endless planning, the meticulous strategizing, while true achievement, my friends, demands unrelenting implementation? Countless individuals possess remarkable insights, brilliant strategies, and meticulously detailed plans. Yet they remain largely unknown, largely unfulfilled, because they never translate these magnificent mental constructs into tangible, impactful action. The gap between knowing and doing represents the single most significant barrier separating mediocrity from excellence. This pervasive hesitation between thought and action stems from our natural yet often debilitating tendency to overvalue preparation while tragically underestimating the profound learning that emerges only through implementation. We convince ourselves that additional research, more intricate planning, or further skill development must precede meaningful action. Unaware, alas, that this approach often serves primarily to postpone necessary risk and the temporary discomfort that accompanies it. You bridge this chasm through the unwavering discipline of immediate implementation. Take concrete action towards your aspirational identity within 24 hours of identifying any opportunity for growth, however small. This commitment to rapid execution does not eliminate planning. Rather, it prevents planning from becoming a crippling substitute for genuine progress. It acknowledges a profound truth. Imperfect action today typically produces greater, more tangible results than perfect action indefinitely postponed. Begin implementing this principle by identifying one significant action directly related to your aspirational identity that you could complete within the next 24 hours. Perhaps it is submitting an application, publishing your first piece of writing, courageously approaching a potential mentor, or initiating a challenging yet necessary conversation. Whatever this action might be, commit to completing it before allowing yourself to engage in a single moment of additional planning or preparation. He discovered a manuscript that immediately struck him as commercially promising, despite needing substantial editorial revision. Rather than following the standard cumbersome procedure of convening committee reviews and conducting tedious market analyses, Mitchell, with audacious decisiveness, called the author directly. He negotiated provisional terms, and then, without a moment's hesitation, announced the acquisition to his publicity team, all within 6 hours of finishing the manuscript. This decisiveness, which his colleagues initially criticized as impulsive, secured the rights to what ultimately became the decade's best-selling biography. When later questioned about his unconventional approach, Mitchell, with the wisdom of a true master, explained that while his competitors were still analyzing market potential, he had already initiated promotional activities, thereby creating unstoppable momentum. So I ask you, my friend, how often do your magnificent plans remain tragically unexecuted? What percentage of your invaluable knowledge currently remains imprisoned in thought rather than being courageously expressed through action? Which aspect of your aspirational identity has suffered most from the insidious gap between what you know and what you have actually implemented? Remember, action itself, the very act of doing, generates clarity in ways that planning, no matter how meticulous, simply cannot. The feedback received from implementation, whether it be triumphant success or enlightening setback, provides essential information, invaluable wisdom unavailable through contemplation alone. This practical wisdom, acquired only through direct experience, often proves infinitely more valuable than the theoretical knowledge that preceded it. So I challenge you now, what specific action, directly related to your aspirational identity, have you been postponing through excessive planning or needless preparation? What concrete step could you take within the next 24 hours that would move you measurably, undeniably closer to becoming your ideal self? Now let us uncover a fundamental truth that underpins all exceptional achievement, the foundation of exceptional achievement. Have you noticed that truly remarkable individuals maintain different standards than their contemporaries? They reject work others would consider entirely adequate. They speak with meticulous precision where others casually accept ambiguity, and they remain passionately engaged when others would quite justifiably rest. This profound distinction in personal standards, more than raw talent, more than fortuitous opportunity, more than abundant resources, explains the extraordinary gap between exceptional and ordinary results. Most, alas, operate according to standards meekly established by their immediate environment. They work just sufficiently to maintain employment. They behave adequately to preserve relationship. They develop skills just enough to perform acceptably in their chosen domain. This approach, my friends, guarantees mediocrity regardless of potential, because conformity to prevailing standards can never produce exceptional outcomes. You elevate your trajectory by deliberately establishing personal standards that far exceed environmental expectations. This process begins with a careful, meticulous examination of your aspirational identity. Identify the specific, uncompromising standards this ideal version of yourself would maintain regarding work quality, personal conduct, skill development, contribution to others, and the meticulous management of your physical and mental resources. Begin implementing these elevated standards by selecting one domain particularly relevant to your aspirational identity. Perhaps it is the unblemished quality of your professional work, your unwavering physical fitness, your impeccable communication precision, or your consistent follow-through on commitments. Whatever area you select, define standards so specific, so objectively measurable, that there can be no room for subjective assessment or comfortable compromise. Then, and this is crucial, maintain these standards with unwavering fidelity, even when circumstances would provide seemingly reasonable justification for compromise. He produced commercially successful pieces that consistently received positive critical reception. Yet Tanaka himself remained privately profoundly dissatisfied, sensing an untapped potential, a magnificent yet unexpressed artistry within his work. Rather than continuing along this comfortable, commercially viable path, Tanaka, with audacious courage, established an unprecedented personal standard. He destroyed any piece containing even minor imperfections perceptible only to his own exquisitely trained eye, regardless of commercial appeal or the immense time invested. For 11 months, this uncompromising standard resulted in approximately 70% of his completed works being utterly destroyed. This dramatically reduced his income and caused considerable concern among his peers. However, this unwavering commitment, this relentless pursuit of an elevated standard, gradually transformed both his technical precision and his artistic vision. Ultimately, it established him among the most significant artists of his generation, with his pieces commanding 10 times his previous market value. So I ask you now, what area of your life currently operates according to standards determined by your environment rather than by your magnificent aspirational identity? Where have you been accepting good enough when true excellence was and still is profoundly possible? What specifically would your ideal self unequivocally demand that your current self comfortably considers optional? Remember, my friends, elevated standards initially appear utterly unreasonable to those accustomed to prevailing norms. Expect resistance, both external criticism and insidious internal rationalization, when you begin maintaining standards that courageously exceed conventional expectations. This resistance, understand deeply, does not indicate that your standards are inappropriate. Rather, it profoundly confirms that you are establishing truly transformative expectations. These objective benchmarks prevent the subtle, insidious compromises that gradually erode exceptional standards. Additionally, create robust accountability systems that make maintaining these standards easier than abandoning them. These might include public commitments, regular review processes, or partnerships with others who are also maintaining similarly elevated expectations. What single standard, if elevated immediately, would most dramatically accelerate your development into your aspirational identity? What specific measurable criteria could you establish to ensure consistent maintenance of this standard, regardless of circumstances? Now let us turn to a powerful, often overlooked catalyst for personal transformation: strategic relationships, leveraging connection for transformation. Have you recognized that the most significant catalyst for personal transformation often comes through strategic relationships? Throughout history, individuals who experienced extraordinary development consistently traced their evolution to specific connections that profoundly challenged their thinking, expanded their perspectives, or modeled alternative, more powerful possibilities. This pattern, my friends, reveals an overlooked truth. Becoming your ideal self requires not just personal discipline, but a deliberate, conscious cultivation of transformative relationships. Many, alas, approach relationships passively, allowing mere proximity, fleeting convenience, or random circumstance to determine their closest associations. They fail to recognize that certain connections possess exponentially greater potential to accelerate their development towards their aspirational identity. This passive approach to relationship building virtually guarantees slower growth than actively, meticulously curating connections that are perfectly aligned with your development goals. You maximize your transformation by strategically developing 5 specific types of relationships. Mentors, those who have already achieved what you so deeply aspire to accomplish. Peers, individuals committed to similar growth trajectories with whom you can share the journey. Students, those who benefit from your current knowledge, providing a powerful opportunity for you to solidify your understanding. Rivals, whose accomplishments courageously stretch your perceived limitations, forcing you to reach for new heights. And finally, connectors, individuals who expand your network far beyond your current boundaries, opening new doors of possibility. Research their backgrounds, study their work, and then with genuine sincerity, create authentic opportunities for connection based on a deep, authentic interest in their perspectives, rather than merely seeking personal advantage. Approach these potential relationships with clear intentions about the mutual value you hope to create through association.
Consider the illuminating case of British physicist Eleanor Hammond. She found herself consistently producing competent research while holding a respectable position at her university. Yet, despite her undeniable capabilities, Hammond recognized that her work lacked the creative breakthrough potential she so passionately aspired to achieve. Rather than focusing exclusively on enhancing her technical skills, Hammond deliberately restructured her professional relationships. She seeked connections with researchers applying physics principles in incredibly diverse fields, including astronomy, material science, and theoretical mathematics. She allocated 3 hours weekly exclusively to fostering these cross-disciplinary relationships through correspondence, laboratory visits, and collaborative discussion. Within 18 months, this strategic approach to relationship building generated novel applications for her existing expertise, leading to groundbreaking publications that established Hammond among the pioneering researchers integrating previously disparate scientific domains. So I ask you now, what specific relationship, if thoughtfully developed, would most dramatically accelerate your transformation toward your aspirational identity? Which current association may be subtly limiting your growth through the reinforcement of outdated perspectives or comfortable standards? How deliberately, how intentionally have you curated your professional and personal connections? Remember, my friends, strategic relationship building is not manipulative when approached with genuine respect and an unwavering commitment to mutual benefit. The most valuable connections emerge through authentic engagement, through shared purpose, rather than transactional networking. Additionally, recognize that meaningful relationships often develop gradually through consistent micro-interactions rather than dramatic initial encounters. Enhance your relationship development through systematic investment in the success of others before you request their input in your own journey. This might include thoughtfully sharing resources relevant to their interests, providing genuine acknowledgement of their profound contributions, connecting them with relevant opportunities, or generously offering assistance with their projects. These investments, my friends, build invaluable relational capital that makes future requests for guidance or collaboration not only welcome but enthusiastically embraced. Which potential mentor currently beyond your immediate network could provide the perspective most relevant to your aspirational identity? What specific approach could you employ to create an authentic connection with this individual, a connection based on mutual interest rather than one-sided benefit? Now let us delve into the profound alignment of your inner and outer worlds. Aligning your inner and outer worlds. Have you observed that truly extraordinary individuals possess a remarkable congruence between their public presentation and their private conduct? This alignment, my friends, is no mere coincidence. It represents the culmination of deliberate character development, a process that eliminates the exhausting compartmentalization that far too many maintain between their various life domains. This integrated identity allows unrestricted access to their full capabilities, regardless of context or circumstance. Many, alas, attempt to become different people in different environments. Professional versus personal, public versus private, family versus social. This fragmentation, my friends, creates internal conflict, a silent battle that constantly depletes precious mental and emotional resources. It prevents the profound depth of character development that is possible only through consistent alignment of values and behavior across all life domains. You develop this transformative integration by first identifying the core values and unshakable standards that define your aspirational identity. Then systematically implement these principles across every life domain, rather than contextually adjusting your behavior to merely match your surroundings. This approach initially creates friction, perhaps even discomfort, in environments accustomed to your compartmentalized persona. But ultimately it produces a profound authenticity that enhances your impact in every relationship and every noble endeavor. Begin implementing integration by selecting one core value central to your aspirational identity that you currently express inconsistently across different life domains. Perhaps you demonstrate exceptional integrity in professional contexts, yet permit minor compromises in personal finances. You maintain impeccable accountability with clients, yet allow slippage in personal commitments. Or perhaps you demonstrate remarkable compassion toward colleagues, while exercising limited patience with family members. Whatever inconsistency you identify, develop specific practices that establish this value with equal, unshakable strength across all contexts. Consider the journey of Richard Harrington, who achieved notable professional success while maintaining a sharp separation between his working persona and his personal identity. Professionally, Harrington demonstrated remarkable creativity and innovative thinking, qualities that clients valued highly. Yet in personal and family contexts, he operated according to conventional patterns established during his traditional upbringing. Following a period of profound reflection prompted by a growing dissatisfaction, Harrington recognized this compartmentalization as the insidious source of his limited fulfillment despite his undeniable external success. He methodically identified specific domains where his creative potential remained tragically unexpressed, particularly in his parenting approaches, his community involvement, and his personal pursuits. He systematically applied the innovative thinking previously reserved exclusively for professional contexts across these areas. This integration initially created discomfort among those accustomed to his compartmentalized identity, but ultimately it produced not only greater personal fulfillment, but enhanced professional capability as insights from previously separated domains cross-pollinated, creating a synergistic effect. So I ask you now, where does your current behavior vary significantly depending on context? Which aspects of your aspirational identity express inconsistently across different life domains? What specific value, if integrated throughout your entire life, would most dramatically accelerate your development? Remember, integration does not demand identical behavior in every situation, but rather consistent alignment with core values regardless of context. The specific expression of these values naturally adapts to different environments while maintaining an underlying unshakable integrity.
Additionally, recognize that integration often requires temporary discomfort as those accustomed to your compartmentalized identity adjust to a more consistent expression of your authentic values. Accelerate integration by creating accountability across previously separated domains. Perhaps by bringing colleagues into personal projects involving family in your professional development, or applying standards previously reserved for specific contexts across all areas of responsibility. This cross-domain accountability prevents the invisible compromises that typically occur within compartmentalized identities. Which specific aspect of your aspirational identity currently appears only in limited contexts? What practice could you implement immediately to express this quality consistently across all life domains? Have you noticed that extraordinary individuals consistently, almost instinctively, move toward challenge rather than away from it? They voluntarily embrace situations that most actively avoid, recognizing something that remains invisible to the average person. The direct, undeniable relationship between deliberate discomfort and accelerated development. This counterintuitive approach explains why some individuals evolve with breathtaking rapidity while others remain stagnant despite similar starting capabilities. Most, alas, instinctively organize their lives to minimize discomfort, interpreting its presence as an indication that something has gone terribly wrong, rather than recognizing it as the essential potent catalyst for transformation. This comfort-seeking orientation guarantees developmental plateaus regardless of inherent potential, because meaningful growth occurs primarily at the very boundaries of your current capability, precisely where discomfort naturally emerges. You accelerate your development by deliberately seeking out experiences that courageously challenge your current limitations rather than merely reinforcing your existing competencies. This strategic approach to growth requires identifying the specific discomforts most relevant to your aspirational identity, whether it be physical exertion, intellectual confusion, social vulnerability, creative uncertainty, or emotional exposure, and then systematically exposing yourself to these growth-promoting tensions. Begin implementing this approach by identifying one specific discomfort directly connected to your aspirational identity that you've been systematically avoiding. Perhaps it's public visibility, financial risk, intellectual challenge, interpersonal conflict, or physical exertion. Whatever this growth-inhibiting avoidance might be, create a specific plan to gradually increase your exposure to this productive discomfort through regular, manageable doses, rather than overwhelming yourself through excessive immersion. Consider the remarkable journey of Swedish industrialist Henrik Lindström. He maintained respectable business success while consistently delegating public communication responsibilities to colleagues better suited for promotional activities. Despite recognizing that this limitation restricted his company's growth potential, Lindström continued avoiding public visibility until a competitor's aggressive expansion threatened his market position. Rather than maintaining this comfortable limitation, Lindström, with courageous resolve, enrolled in an intensive communication program requiring weekly presentations to increasingly larger audiences. For 6 arduous months he endured persistent anxiety, frequent criticism, and numerous public failures, discomforts that would have previously seemed utterly intolerable. This deliberate discomfort gradually transformed not only his communication capability but his fundamental confidence, ultimately enabling expansion into international markets that his previous limitations would have rendered impossible. So I ask you now, which specific discomfort, if deliberately embraced, would most directly accelerate your development toward your aspirational identity? What growth essential activities have you been avoiding due to the temporary unpleasantness they generate? How might your current comfort-seeking behaviors be limiting your ultimate magnificent potential? Remember, my friends, productive discomfort differs fundamentally from pointless suffering. The discomfort that catalyzes growth connects directly to capabilities essential for your aspirational identity, rather than random hardship with no developmental purpose. Additionally, effective discomfort exposure follows a progressive pattern, gradually increasing intensity as your tolerance expands, rather than overwhelming your adaptive capacity through excessive initial challenge. Enhance your capacity for productive discomfort by developing specific recovery practices that prevent burnout while maintaining developmental momentum. These might include strategic rest periods, reflection routines that extract maximum learning from challenging experiences, the celebration of incremental progress, and community support from others pursuing similar growth through deliberate discomfort. What specific discomfort have you been systematically avoiding that directly connects to your aspirational identity? What manageable exposure to this growth-promoting tension could you implement within the next week? Now let us turn to the silent architect of all great achievement, disciplined consistency. This pattern reveals an overlooked truth. Exceptional achievement stems less from momentary inspiration than from sustained implementation. The ability to maintain focused action regardless of fluctuating circumstances, unpredictable emotions, or immediate results. Many, alas, approach their development through bursts of intense activity, followed by extended periods of disengagement. They work feverishly when motivation runs high, but tragically abandon progress when enthusiasm naturally wanes. This inconsistent approach virtually guarantees limited results, regardless of potential, because meaningful development occurs primarily through the compound effect of sustained action, rather than isolated episodes of intense effort. You activate the transformative power of consistency by establishing robust systems that ensure continued progress, regardless of your momentary emotional state. This approach acknowledges that motivation naturally fluctuates, while creating structures that maintain momentum despite these variations. These systems might include environmental designs that reduce friction for positive behaviors, accountability mechanisms that make consistency easier than abandonment, and identity-based commitments that transcend circumstantial motivation. Begin implementing disciplined consistency by selecting one behavior directly connected to your aspirational identity that you will perform daily for the next 90 days, regardless of circumstances. This commitment might involve skill development, relationship building, creative production, physical conditioning, or mental discipline. Whatever practice most directly connects to your desired future self, establish this commitment not as a flexible goal but as a non-negotiable standard. Then create robust systems to ensure flawless execution. Consider the remarkable journey of Indian classical musician Raja Ma. He demonstrated remarkable technical proficiency while experiencing inconsistent professional recognition. Despite his undeniable capabilities, Ma's practice schedule fluctuated dramatically, intensifying before performances, but diminishing substantially during less demanding periods. Following a particularly disappointing concert season, Ma established an unprecedented standard: 4 hours of deliberate practice daily, irrespective of performance schedule, travel requirements, physical condition, or motivational state. For 7 months, this unwavering commitment required significant sacrifice, including pre-dawn sessions during intensive travel periods and modified practice during a brief illness. Yet this relentless consistency produced not only technical refinement but fundamental artistic breakthroughs that transformed Ma's reputation among the most respected performers of his generation. So I ask you now, what specific behavior, if performed with flawless consistency for the next 90 days, would most directly accelerate your development toward your aspirational identity? What systems could you implement immediately to ensure this consistency regardless of fluctuating circumstances or motivation? Remember, my friends, consistency's transformative power emerges gradually rather than immediately. The most valuable results often appear only after sustained implementation has continued beyond the point where most would abandon their efforts. This delayed gratification explains why consistency remains rare despite its unmatched effectiveness. The investment, my friends, precedes the return by a substantial margin. Enhance your consistency through strategic preparation for predictable challenges. Identify specific circumstances most likely to disrupt your commitment: travel, illness, deadline pressure, emotional fluctuation. And then develop contingency protocols that maintain momentum despite these disruptions. These preparations might include modified versions of your commitment adaptable to challenging circumstances, environmental adjustments that preserve capability during disruption, or recovery protocols that quickly restore momentum following inevitable interruptions. Which aspects of your aspirational identity have suffered most from inconsistent implementation? What specific systems could you establish immediately to ensure disciplined consistency regardless of circumstantial challenges? Now let us explore the profound connection that elevates personal achievement into a life of true meaning, aligning personal growth with meaningful impact. Have you observed that truly fulfilled individuals connect their personal development to purposes larger than themselves? This pattern reveals a profound truth. Lasting satisfaction emerges not through self-focused achievement, but through meaningful contribution. It arises from using your developing capabilities to address needs beyond your immediate interests, while creating value that outlasts your direct involvement. Many, alas, pursue personal development primarily as a means of self-enhancement, seeking skills, knowledge, and capabilities that merely increase their status, their security, or their personal satisfaction. They do so without substantial consideration of the profound impact these developing attributes might create for others. The self-seeker's orientation often produces capability without true fulfillment, increasing what you can accomplish while tragically limiting what you actually enjoy. You transform this dynamic by deliberately connecting your development to meaningful contribution. Identify specific ways your evolving capabilities could address authentic needs within your relationships, your organization, your community, or society at large. This contribution-focused approach accelerates your growth while simultaneously enhancing its fulfillment potential, creating a sustainable development path that reinforces itself through the profound satisfaction generated by meaningful impact. Begin implementing this orientation by identifying the specific capabilities you're currently developing and exploring how each might address meaningful needs beyond your personal advancement. Perhaps your analytical skills could help nonprofit organizations optimize their impact. Your communication abilities could amplify important, yet overlooked perspectives. Your technical capabilities could reduce barriers for underserved populations. Or your leadership capacity could develop potential in others currently lacking adequate guidance. She developed exceptional design capabilities while advancing through prestigious firms to increasingly prominent projects. Despite professional recognition, Wilson experienced growing dissatisfaction until encountering a rural community whose inadequate public facilities severely limited educational opportunities for its children. Rather than continuing her commercially lucrative trajectory, Wilson, with courageous purpose, redirected her architectural expertise toward developing innovative, cost-effective designs for educational facilities in resource-constrained environments. This purpose-driven application of her capabilities not only enhanced her professional fulfillment, but accelerated her creative development beyond what her previous commercially driven work had produced. Ultimately, it established Wilson among the most innovative educational facility designers of her generation. Which skills or attributes are you currently developing primarily for self-enhancement rather than for contribution? What authentic needs exist within your sphere of influence that your aspirational identity would be uniquely positioned to address? Remember, my friends, contribution-oriented development does not require dramatic career changes or financial sacrifice. It simply aligns your growth trajectory with opportunities to create meaningful impact through existing roles and relationships. This alignment often begins through small adjustments in focus and application rather than a wholesale reinvention of your life direction. Enhance your contribution orientation by regularly exposing yourself to perspectives and needs beyond your typical environment. This expanded awareness might come through volunteering with diverse populations, engaging with thought leaders addressing significant challenges, researching overlooked problems within your field of expertise, or simply having curious conversations with individuals navigating circumstances vastly different from your own. What specific adjustment could you make immediately that would more directly connect your personal development to meaningful contribution? Which capability central to your aspirational identity could create the most significant positive impact if deliberately directed?